And, Eddie Murphy,
I
John.
love Boss Logic, I'm not slagging him.
We've already talked about him reprising Axel Foley role in the first glimpse of Beverly Hills Cop 4. I was about to say 3 there, because I'm trying to forget 3, so I'm classing this as 3. But yeah, Eddie Murphy makes a triumphant return.
That was me
as
today, Stephen,
Axel
believe me.
Foley in the first release image from the highly anticipated Beverly Hills Cop 4, marking decades since Murphy's iconic debut as the Detroit cop. Now the image is out there, John.
Yeah,
we talked about Eddie Murphy.
It's there.
This guy doesn't age.
He doesn't age. But I will say this. He doesn't age. He's aging remarkably well. He's 60 years of age, I think, or close to it, 59. But he is starting to, I mean, there he looks a bit weird.
Beverly Hills Cop. If you're a cop from Beverly, he's from Detroit, sorry.
Yeah, because he's got the lines.
You would not be that well groomed. You wouldn't be.
But it's his hair. His hair's almost like painted on. And I get that's a thing, man. They kind of do the line up and they do that. But yeah, there's just little signs here that he's looking a little bit. But listen, I can't bring myself to slag off Eddie Murphy. I love the guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely love him.
Yeah.
He was my childhood, growing up watching him.
Phenomenal.
Come to America, even the Nutty Professor and things like that. These not so good movies.
John, have you seen the Beverly Hills Cop movies?
Yeah, I've seen at least one.
Yeah.
I do remember it.
That's probably the one with Judge Reinhold.
Yeah, there was one with him, and I think it ended at the end. It was like a warehouse or something. There was a shootout.
That was it. Yeah, first one. Yeah,
I've seen that for sure.
It's a phenomenal film.
Yeah.
The second one's phenomenal as well. For a follow up to a film that you're like, how can they make a sequel without regurgitating what they've already done? They kind of, it's not the same jokes, but the same sort of pattern. But again, it was just these characters, John.
Yeah.
Axel Foley, Billy, I think his name was the Judge Reinhold one. John Ashton's back in this one as well. Apparently, he's obviously
Is Reinhold
the
in
bald.
this?
Yeah, he's in this one.
Yeah,
he's the bald sort of partner with the Tash. He was so funny, that guy. So funny. I remember when he fell in a swimming pool, a house that Axel had ripped off. He was staying there. Well, the people who owned the house were on vacation, and John Ashton's character fell in the pool, and he didn't have a change of clothes. He went up the stair, and this guy had, it was like Biff Tannen trousers, like tartan trousers, away up to the chest and stuff like that. It was hilarious.
Turtleneck under the shirt.
Just so funny, those first two films. The third one, this is what I'm afraid of with this fourth instalment, John. Is it going to be a third film? Because he lost, there's something about his performance, he lost a bit of his edge.
Yeah.
In that third film, there was a gap between the second one and the third one, about 5 or 6 years. And I think this is a bigger gap again.
That's always a concern, Steve. You know, when you've got these big gaps, and it's an even bigger gap between the third film and now the fourth film. And it's why I'm concerned when they start doing things like this. Obviously, Terminator's an example of a franchise where 2 films come out in relatively short time frames. Then there's a big gap. I want to say it was like 6 years or something between Terminator 2 and 91, was it? 92?
First Terminator was 84. Next one was 91.
91. So that's quite a big gap, to be fair. That's 7 years. And then I think it was maybe even less of a gap, to be fair, to T3.
2003. 12 years.
It was 12 years, so that is quite a big gap. Just completely ignore what I said then, because Terminator's just not a good analogy whatsoever.
Terminator's quite emotionless, so it's easier to do.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely
But there's a danger when you have these big gaps. Is there a motivation to bring the character back? Are you just bringing it back for the sake of it? Maybe Indiana Jones is a better example, where you've got a trilogy, it stands the test of time, then you bring out that god-awful Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and then you bring out an even worse film, The Dial of Destiny, with an even bigger time gap.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes you just want to say, as an actor, playing the lead character in this franchise, enough's enough.
Yeah.
Like, we've done it. It's there. We just leave it as it is and don't go back to it. But obviously Eddie thinks there's something to be told with this character.
Yeah.
You see there, all the phones are out. I get a vibe of what this is going to be already. It's almost like Life in Mars, Ashes to Ashes kind of vibe, where you could do police work a certain way back in the day, modern times with phones, social media, the way it's impacting on the job and on life. So I can tell he's going to do some sort of maybe satire on modern day life.
There'll be references, John.
Yeah,
and this guy's so disconnected, you can tell, from obviously modern technology.
Yeah.
He's an old school cop. I hope that's what that they're doing here. He's a dinosaur in a digital age, that type of die-hard floor thing. You know, and I hope they do that. But I just hope he's got his edge back for this, because that was a big part of the Axel Foley character. He was a fish out of water, coming from a very working class Detroit to a well-pampered Beverly Hills,
Yeah.
where everything was about image and style and class. And he just played it for fun, you know. He enjoyed that, you know, and that's something that you see in his live performances. He's always been up against it all his life. His
He's seen
upbringing.
come to America as well, but he does it reverse.
Yeah,
He's playing this pampered prince.
That's
That
where
comes to
I
Queens.
think that's where it excels, yeah. And I hope to see something like that. John, is this going to be a Netflix release? Because I remember us talking about that. I know Eddie's got a good he's like Adam Sandler with Netflix. He's got a good relationship with the
I'll find out just
streaming
now.
platform. But
Beverly,
I remember we did talk about it.
Could be, because he has got a good relationship with Net.
Yeah.
Distributed by Netflix. So, yeah, I mean, what he said, hits and misses. I say that, I think Coming to America, the sequel came out in Prime, didn't it? It came out in Amazon Prime. It wasn't Netflix. But yeah, he seems to have had a reasonable run with Netflix. Obviously, Dolomite's My Name.
Yeah, that's the cast.
Yeah, the cast is there. Yeah, I mean, looks as though they're. I mean, you've got John Reinhold back.
I know that
right off the bat.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Taylor Page, and Kevin Bacon are going to be in this film as well.
Good cast, man.
Yeah.
Mark Malloy, need to have a look at this. I'll bring this up.
Mark Malloy, yeah.
Rings a bell, Mark Malloy. What has he done? It rings a bell. I'm clearly talking nonsense because I know nothing that he's done.
Apple at Work.
Apple at Work. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just a very class region name, isn't it? Malloy. Forget the Malloy. Once again, I'm letting my allegiance out there. But look, man, we'll totally ignore directors and casting crew. It's about not the crew, or the cast, I should say. We'll speak about the cast. We'll totally ignore the crew. This is not Robert Eggers when he's bringing the same people back. Kevin Bacon's top billing, Stephen. Let's discuss that, shall we? Should he be top billing in a Beverly Hills Cop?
If he's playing the villain, no, he shouldn't be.
I've
John.
done it again, Beverly Hills Cop.
That's the point. It should be Eddie Murphy. He is Beverly Hills Cop. That's his like Batman v Robin. Arnold Schwarzenegger top billing. Kevin Bacon is a force of nature as well for different reasons, but it should be Eddie Murphy. It should be top billing. It should be Eddie Murphy, and then John. He played Taggart.
John Taggart.
That's just. Taggart and Billy Rosewood were fantastic. John, I'm telling you, the first time I saw this, I watched it with my dad, and the two of us were just in tears of laughter with they two alone, even without Eddie Murphy. Just so funny. But Eddie Murphy, just on another level at that period in his film career, just hungry. You know,
just something about the guy, isn't there? Reading that photo, that just typifies him. It's that little twinkle he's got. It's kind of like one eye shuts more than the other. He's just got that twinkle about him.
Yeah.
He's just a brilliant guy. It's impossible to dislike Eddie. It's what you call him, Beverly.
Beverly Murphy. Yeah. Eddie Hills Cop. Bronson
Pinchot.
Yeah, he was Serge. I think he played Serge. And he was so funny as well.
Yeah, Serge. Risky Business as well. That was that one with
Tom Cruise, is
it?
Yeah.
Was that one where he slides along?
It was a product of the 80s and the 90s, to be fair, but fantastic.
It's fun, isn't it, though? You have got actors who were really prominent in the 80s and they kind of disappeared off the fucking radar completely. As you went into the 90s, I think of Chevy Chase, I think of Dan Aykroyd, strangely enough, Steve Martin. Although Steve did he was a stand-up comedian, sort of banjo player, I want to say. Or is that Billy Connolly I'm thinking about?
Steve Martin, yeah.
Yeah, he's the same. What is that about? Stand-up comedians playing the banjo? Maybe they have to widen the repertoire to tick boxes. But something about, I mean, he did Father of the Bride and stuff like that, and that's obviously your little guy, the wedding planner, he works with him, Martin Short.
Paul Reeser's back as well. He had a couple of sort of bit parts in Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 as a Detroit cop who knew Axel and kind of helped him out on the phone to get out a shtick. But it
doesn't look like a particularly big cast outside of maybe like the first 8 or so.
I would say so, yeah.
I mean, it's starting to go into bodybuilder, woman with dog, Felicity. I mean, Detroit Red Wings fan, okay. It's fucking Joe Davis, that looks weird, doesn't it? Looks like a
Ken doll.
Yeah, mixed with like a stand-in at a convention for James Bond. Looks a bit fucking weird, doesn't it?
He does look like your man that played James Bond once. What was his name again? Can't remember.
You're asking me, Stephen.
I can't remember his name.
Well, I mean, I always mention Roger Daltrey. I always get him mixed up with Roger Moore for some reason. It wasn't Roger Moore, was it? Timothy Dalton. Was it Timothy Dalton? What was it? Was that the one?
No. I'm just when you were talking about Roger
Daltrey. I was thinking of Roger Moore. But yeah, I fucking watch enough.
Can't remember his
Bond
name. He did the Her Majesty's Secret Service. I can't remember his name.
I watched Connery. I watched Pierce Brosnan, unfortunately. Then Daniel Craig. There's a lot I've not seen. I can't watch films.
Can't wait to
where
see
it's like
Maureen in this film.
Maureen looks like one of those famous actors from back in the day. It may even have been in an Eddie Murphy movie. And the face rings a bell, but I can't put my finger on what that is she's been in. But I don't think that's who I'm talking about. I have to stress. I'm just saying she looks like that person. So we're fucking scraping the bottom of the barrel here looking at these extras. Forget about them, man. It's about these people up here.
John Ashton wasn't in the third film for whatever reason. I don't know if it was scheduling or whatever, but he was missed. He was missed, and I think that was part of it. You know, when you had Foley, Taggart, and Rosewood as a trio, they were so funny. And obviously, when Taggart wasn't there was something missing. I think they brought in someone else to sort of another character to replace him, but it didn't work. It never does. You know, when you're so used to that sort of chemistry between the sort of main three.
What do you think about villains? You think Bacon could be playing the villain?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Not really seen him do a villain. Well, now that I think about it,
Hollow Man, he
kind of was.
Yeah, and obviously in the X-Men First Class, he was a villain. But apart from that, there's not many.
I mean, I've seen him playing a villain. Then
I think you can see that Kevin Bacon's played more sort of good guy roles than bad guy. So,
I mean, I think of him playing the Frenchman in Patriots games. I think of Patriot Day.
There's been a few dodgy films Kevin Bacon's done, and he's been the bad guy. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah. Now that you mention it, there's at least 4 films where Kevin Bacon's played a villain. The one with Meryl Streep, Rivers. Oh God, I always want to call it Rivers, but it's not.
I know what one you're talking about. Yeah.
It's not Mystic River. That's the one with.
He was in that as well.
He was in that, but he wasn't the villain.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. Yeah.
Also the paedophile one, which my sister still holds against him to this day. I'm like, that's kind of an example of him being a fantastic actor.
The Woodsman, yeah.
The Woodsman, Mystic River wasn't that one. Was he in the Meryl Streep?
He was, yeah.
One of the fucking dog again.
Mid-90s, I think it was.
Wow.
It was the mid-90s anyway.
Wow. Wild Things? No, it wasn't that. Wow.
Sleepers, he was obviously a villain.
Wow, the River Wild,
yeah. Was that, yeah.
Kind of played a minor villain in A Few Good Men, but he played the sort of the lawyer for the state. Yeah. And he was coming up against Tom Cruise. And then obviously, I want to say Stir of Echoes, he wasn't a villain, he was unearthing the mystery. One of the fucking best films, by the way, horror films.
John, the problem with
that may have been the last horror film that I was actually creeped out by. I was about 10.
Came out at the same time as The Sixth Sense, so it suffered.
Totally forgot. Sixth Sense is a far better film. I have to. Sixth Sense was probably the last film, depending on which one came out first. Yeah, that or Stir of Echoes was probably the last film that really shook me. Yeah. Like that was really, really weird. Like the talk to me and I'm walking with those rubbery legs. Really fucking weird film. David Coit, incidentally, he really does like a horror film, doesn't he? I want to see he was involved in another horror film recently. The Mummy. That was dreadful. Was he not involved in am I tripping? Is that just some other random Scandinavian type name I'm thinking about? The one with the autopsy of Jane Doe or something like that?
I'm not sure.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Panic Room. I believe I wrote that. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Need to get out of here. My dog is absolutely destroying us with flatulence, and it is.
John, again, just like Deadpool 3, I'll watch this. I'll watch Beverly Hills Cop 4. And I'll know, like, coming to America, it'll be an absolute car crash. And I'll still watch it. I will watch it.
Coming to America, I thought it was good.
It's a good film, but the problem is we're always going to compare it to the first movie, aren't we? It was a good film. I loved the sort of de-aging stuff they did. Not that they had to do much with Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, but just the sort of putting them back in the scene. Yeah. You know, the scenes we didn't see in the first movie, I was like, that's absolutely flawless.
Wesley Snipes was in it, wasn't he? He was playing the sort of tyrannical dictator from a neighbouring country next to Zamunda. I liked it. I thought it was all right. It wasn't good, but it was all right.
It never sort of reaches your expectations.
See if Beverly Hills Cop 4 gets to the same level as Coming to America, I think it will be a win for that film. Because I don't think it was a bad film. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at actually what it was rated, and then I've reserved the right to go back and say that it was absolutely shit. But in my mind, having watched it, I didn't think it was horrendous. 5.3, I'd say that's about fair. Maybe a little higher for me. I'd maybe rate it like a 5.9, a 6. I think it was like a 6.
Yeah.
It was solid. It was average. It was watchable. It wasn't offensive.
I felt the whole Akeem and I'm blanking on the wife's name.
Yeah.
I just thought she was a bit of
Lisa.
a bit of a ball buster in this one. I was like, that's not what she was like. But you're talking 30 years, I suppose people change.
They do. Certainly when they're sitting in a throne.
Yeah.
And
getting older. Yeah.
And getting older. Yeah, I presume when people
and
get
find
older.
out that Eddie's character's got a child to another woman as well. That kind of
Exactly.
you can understand actually why she was a bit
Yeah.
of a ball buster. Fair dues.
Yeah. I mean, are you surprised? Did you see Semi?
Yeah.
What he was doing?
Semi.
Semi.
That was the woman. Wasn't it? That was the woman that said that. Semi. And he went, no, it's Semi. I love that film. I absolutely love it. Man.
Oh, it's one
so
of my all-time favourite films. It really is. It's
a
kind of
Arsenio Hall.
Christmas.
I just
Christmas film as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Arsenio Hall's unbelievable,
he's
Stephen.
just so funny.
He's just when he did that chat show, some of the shit he got on there.
Yeah.
I think he got Richard Pryor on there a couple of times, and Richard's another guy I fucking adore.
Yeah.
Just him and Gene Wilder over the years. Some of the fucking funniest moments I've ever witnessed in a film have involved those sort of four guys: Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor, Arsenio Hall, and Eddie Murphy. I'm not saying they worked together; they didn't, but you know what I mean.
I think Eddie and Richard did.
Did they? Did they work?
What was it? What was the film called again? Some Harlem Nights, but it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't good. Nah, you'd think it would be, but it wasn't.
But yeah, she shouldn't have been surprised. That's what I'm saying. That he had a sort of a legitimate baby somewhere. Semi was up in that fucking Waldorf Astoria presidential suite in that jacuzzi.
Yeah, it's a bit.
And he was just a friend of the prince.
It was in between. It was after they came back from the community centre. No, it was when where were they coming back from? I can't remember where they come back from, but it didn't make any sense. The time sort of frame between that and the next scene, there wasn't enough time to sort of justify what they were up to. It just didn't make sense. Yeah. But I get shoehorned. It made it,
and that is
worked
ultimately
for
the concern, Stephen, though. That's kind of what I touched upon. Forcing a film like this out for the sake of it and then try to contort things to keep the sort of, not the mythology, but the
narrative.
The sort of, the in-world narrative coherent. Just forcing things in to make it work, and then you can pick holes in it immediately. Like, that doesn't work, that doesn't work. You've just forced this out to make money, haven't you? That's basically the danger that we have here. There has to be a real reason to revive this character and make it work, because otherwise, why would you do it? You're just diluting the experience of the franchise. Yeah.